you go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the experience. How you ladies doing?
Hey.
Hey, we're good. I'm good.
Yeah. How's everyone's weekend going so far?
Nice and relaxing now. But it was good.
You said nice and relaxing. That wasn't not so relaxing. What
I
happened?
was on the road. I spent some time with some family this week.
Oh, that's nice.
It's always good. I get my feel from my family. They fill my cup. Like, whew,
Oh, that's nice.
home. I'm a country girl at heart, but I had to get back to the city and get back to work.
You ever miss being in the country?
Yeah, I do. I miss like the air. Like I breathe different when I'm home. I'm gonna be honest. Like just
absolutely.
a little deeper, just a little deeper. But yeah, we always need that little slice of home, right?
Yeah. I agree. What about you, doctor?
It just go by too fast for me here.
Listen, right? Who signed us up for only 2 days?
Yeah, it's like give me one more day.
Yeah, at least one more.
Well, technically, by the time you catch up, it's time to go back. That's the problem.
Yeah,
exactly. If we could just flip it and only work 2 days.
Hello.
Okay, listen.
Now, wait, I would take 4 days.
I'll give you 3. Because that's my favorite number.
Yeah, mine too, girl.
Okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Mm-hmm.
I don't know everything. Well, see, now I got to all my business. So everything in my life lines up with 3. I was born in the 3rd month. I have 3 kids. So all of my stuff line up with 3. So yeah, a black pearl secret, not secret. How can I put that? Nugget.
A fun fact. Yay.
A fun fact. So my birthday is 3/11, right? I have 3 kids, and they were all born at 11. So
wild. Okay.
I didn't plan that. That's just how they came out. So yeah. Ow.
We be hype. Okay.
Okay, cool. So for me, this weekend was pretty good. Laid back. The first laid back weekend in a while. But I was over at Target, and I reached for something on the shelf. And it apparently was the last thing, but there's like another woman there who wanted it too, and she looked like she was ready to fight me.
It ain't funny.
But she was very upset. So I noticed how upset she was. I was like, I said it like this. I'm gonna be real. I was like, it's not that serious. You can have it. That wasn't enough for her, so she's just very upset. A few choice words. But I was really confused because I'm not sure what triggered her. Because all I did was reach for the same thing she was reaching for. So, because I didn't want to go there with her, because she had a personal problem that had nothing to do with me. I kind of backed away, but I definitely could tell in that moment that something I did or what I did or how I responded triggered her negatively. So
that's wow. She was gonna whoop your ass over.
She's gonna try to whoop my ass. If I tell you what it is, you're gonna be like, over that for real.
And it probably wasn't even that. People, you never know what's on somebody's mind. It could have just been like you were the last thing to like
put
her into oblivion.
Yeah.
So
good God.
The thing that I took, I just took the thing off so I went to get a sweater for my mom. That was the last thing, not show, but you know what I'm saying. And I took, I grabbed it. I was like, you can have it. It's fine. I walked right over to the mannequin, took the mannequin's arm off, took the sweater.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Yes.
It's not that serious. For me, it's not that serious because whatever, let's say I push that button and we started going back and forth. You know what I mean? You send for me, I come for you type of thing. The whole purpose of what I wanted to do, which was surprise my mom with this really nice sweater that I thought she was gonna like, would be like gone. Like the whole intent would be gone. So I was trying not to be triggered. How about that? Which ironically goes very well with our topic today. I was trying not to be triggered because sometimes when I feel threatened, I definitely go from 0 to 100 real quick. So, I mean, it is what it is. But Can we all agree that we all have triggers that we battle with from time to time? Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay. I think the hardest thing for me, and you can agree or disagree, the hardest thing for me was the process of identifying those triggers. Because I went through a stage where I wasn't quite sure what was pushing my button, so to speak. And
Mhm.
I will have to sit down with myself and really go, hey Pearl, what is really the problem versus what I'm reacting to. So I mean, Tay, what you think about triggers?
I
What's
mean, so okay, first I agree. I agree with you that sometimes you just you are the trigger, or you are the push, or the last straw that broke the camel's back, or whatever, how people describe it. But just in essence of what triggers are, like we're talking about either internal or external factors,
yeah, yeah.
or sensory. So what I like, one of my mantras is, my peace is internal, it cannot be disturbed by external factors. Like, that's something I have to tell myself when they making me mad and at the 9 to 5. And I like, in those environments you cannot be triggered, right? So but if you are, and when you are, because it does happen,
It
and
does.
you have to know how to control yourself. I'll go for a walk, get a nice little breeze, get some sunshine on my face, because y'all piss me off, and I want to cuss you out. Okay, but I want to do my job, and I want to maintain my professionalism. Because at the end of the day, this is what's speaking for me in my long career, right? So let's
Yeah, yeah.
tact. But you look, y'all know them people be pissing y'all off in the office.
Just like that.
I be getting my email hit on me on my email, fucking it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
We're professional, but cussing you out in my mind.
Absolutely. Listen, I'll be there too. Whap, pat, 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 pat. People like, what did the keys do to you?
Yes. But
Yeah.
transparently, those are sometimes it's triggering the way they be talking to me. I'm like, well, wait a minute, I'm grown, and we make the same amount of money, ma'am, and we put
Yeah.
our pants on the same way in the morning. Okay?
Even if we didn't, we grown.
Okay, so listen, mama, I left my mama in Gates County. That's how I be telling the people. But it's triggering for me sometimes, the way that people approach me, or the way that people speak with me or deal with me. So I will be transparent and just go ahead and reveal one of mine. But I do feel that you have to work hard on not being triggered, because everybody has things, right? Both internal and like to your point, like, bro, that was an external situation. Like, she'll know you, but whatever she's going through, that's internal. That's for we don't know.
Just like that.
It could have been, oh no, her somebody's on their dying bed and she saw this and she wanted her to look lovely in it. I don't know what emotional response she had connected to the item, but you just kind of never know.
Yeah.
Right?
I just didn't feel it was that serious.
Right. No, I get it. Right.
But for her, it probably was that
You
serious.
never exactly, and that's why I'm like, you don't know where people are, and sometimes you just got to meet them where they are. Like you did, you say, you know what, you can have it. I think you did the right thing, because you never know. Like, people go off and do crazy stuff.
I don't want to be on the news talking about altercation in Target ended in death.
Right? You know what I mean? You don't want to see you like this. So I think you did the right thing, and sometimes you just gotta let it. You gotta let it go. You gotta flow like the water. Okay.
Like water.
I'm learning.
What
that.
about you, Royal? Do you have triggers?
Man, I'm all effed up, but it's good. I'm good with me, because I do know the majority of my triggers. Do I know all of them? No, I don't, and I'm just being honest and transparent. Because sometimes things externally, well, actually, internal and external, unbeknown to me, can make me emotionally. And I thank you, Tay, for bringing that point up, because when we think about triggers, they are emotional responses.
Yeah.
And so, considering that point, my emotional response oftentimes is not something that I'm conscious of sometimes. But with that being said, transparency, yes, I'm with Tay. Certain And y'all forgive me with this lighting because I'm getting ready to move out this room, out this space.
Okay.
It's got like the smoke and then the ghost, and then I got all this other stuff going on. I'm sorry, I digress, but I'm just
It's
looking
all
at
right.
the
Go
screen.
ahead. Go ahead.
But where I'm going with this is simply that, as Tay mentioned, yes, certain tone of voice, certain movements, key point. As an example, when I worked in the school system years ago, as a special education teacher, I used to tell my students who were receiving special education, baby, all of us got issues. Every last one of us in this room. So I want you to be comfortable in the skin that you're in and know that it's okay to be who you are. I'm visually impaired. That's that would cause me to have an IEP when I was in school. So my point to sharing that was just to make them feel comfortable, knowing again we all got stuff. But I went on to let them know emotionally at the time, I got issues. So do not run up on me. Don't make sudden movements around me. Please don't make sudden movements around me because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. And one of my students, no, because it's funny. It's funny
the way you laugh like you're having a flashback. Okay.
because I am. So what happened is one of my favorite students. I love him to death, even to this day. One of my students, he came upon my desk and was playing around with me because I was that cool teacher. He came up and he grabbed my Frappuccino. But he was just joking. But I don't mess with my food. Don't mess with my drink.
Don't touch no food now.
Yeah, don't even like get close like you about to put your mouth on my stuff. Because otherwise I'm gonna be like, you can just have it. Well, what happened is when he did that, he moved too fast on me. And before I knew it, I swung around.
Yeah.
Taste it. Oh shit. Yeah, I did. I swung around and I stopped myself because I caught myself in the moment and I said, baby, don't ever, ever, ever do that again. He was like, Miss Gray, I was just joking. I said, baby, I know you were. I said, but what did I tell y'all? And all of his classmates was ticked off with him for that day because he had ticked me off in that moment. And what I told him is, I said, sweetheart, if I had accidentally, because it would have been an accident, it wasn't intentional. I said, but if I had accidentally punched you or slapped you or hit you, whatever, because I don't know what was going to happen, but he was getting ready to get something when I swung back around. I said, baby, if something had went down, like number one, I would be totally hurt because I love you to death. I said, but did I lose my job and you messing with my cause? I said, so again, please understand everybody got stuff. I mean, and he apologized and we were cool and life went on and he's still my boo thing to this day. Shout out to him, even though I'll say his initial is L. LL. But yes, shout out to him. But yeah, like, so I think it's important for us to all just be cognizant if we're able to. But in those moments that we're not, I'm going to defer back to Tay when she said, what I heard her say is having that emotional regulation. And unfortunately, a lot of people now do not have emotional regulation.
I agree.
They can't catch themselves in a moment.
Well, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot to look at yourself in the mirror. We may not really feel that way, but it does take a lot. It's a level of accountability, and it's a level of admitting that some of the stuff that you're experiencing that you're being triggered about, what was out of your control, you know? So, well, I will go a little deeper. You know me, I'm always opening it up for y'all. My trigger and what made me really want to, okay with talking with this is I went to see a friend a couple of weeks ago, high school friend, and she was like, you're sometime, well, that wasn't the context, but she had made a comment that I'm sometiming. And it's not a bad thing. It's okay. Let me tell you something. Shout out to my friends, especially the long ones. When I tell you what you need to hear, tell you what you need to hear. I love it. Tell me the truth. Do not make me feel good with a lie. Please don't. But it was in a content. It was in a more specific context. And so, you know, after she said that, you know, kind of driving home, whatever, and I'm like, I'm not sometimey, because if I was sometimey, we wouldn't be friends. Like, I've been friends with this person almost 30 years. Does that sound like I'm sometimey? But what she doesn't realize is my trigger is unstable promises. And so when I start getting close to people, I kind of shift into the fight. What is it? Flight or fight thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I shift into that because historically in my life, those who have made promises that they would be there, including my parents, have not. And so, like, when I see I'm getting close to someone or getting attached to someone, it triggers me to retreat. And someone who doesn't know me would say, oh, you're being sometimey. But in actuality, it's a protective stance.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from, I had a best friend at one point. We were friends since she was 4, I was 5. She turned on me in ways that I probably don't want to get into right now. And then for another example, tough time in my life, you know, I talked to y'all about getting pregnant early. And I was raised in a household that was like, oh my gosh, how could someone kick people out their house and blah, blah, blah. And here I was out in the street. I didn't know my front from my back, out in the street, and all these promises that were the foundation of my childhood were gone. I have gotten very close to people who only got close to me to get what they need and keep it popping. And so my trigger is when I see someone getting very close, I automatically go, oh, wait, nope, I'm getting too close to this person. I need to back up. I need to retreat. I need to whatever. And of course, on the outside, what does that appear as? I'm flaky. I don't, you know, I'm sometimey and things of that nature. It does take a certain level of a relationship to kind of come back and say, I'm kind of nervous here because of whatever. So it took me a while to get there, but that's definitely my trigger. I have interacted with people who are being triggered by trauma of being cheated on from years ago. I mean, like, it could be years ago, but it triggers and they turn into like a self-sabotaging situation too. So, which seems very similar to what I do as well. But it's just to sit in front of yourself and go, like I said, for me, Pearl, this is not, there's something deeper than this that's triggering you. It took me a few years to get there. It took a couple of very patient and loving people to help me figure that out also. So triggers come in all shapes and forms and stuff. So yeah.
And it's important to have that support system, like you were talking about. You know, you need people who are gonna pour into you and understand what's happening with you. You know, so and have the patience with you so that they know how to deal with you, because it's not an easy feat. You know what I mean, on that journey. And like you said, like it's a journey. It's not a destination. I think a lot of times we fail to do the inner work that it requires to, you know, to kind of get past the triggers or to be able to control ourselves in the moment that we are triggered. I'm just speaking from experience.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
All the time.
Yeah. And traumas, and thank you for mentioning that keyword, because again, when we think about triggers, something traumatic caused that trigger.
Absolutely.
You're not born with triggers.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not. There's something that occurred in our life that caused an emotional need for protection. Okay. Like you just described. And so that trigger is a form of, like you just described, it is a form of that defense mechanism jumping into play to preserve our well-being. But it's important to also, when we talk about supports, to know when you are not well, and the need to seek external support if your internal circle can't provide that to you, whether it's
Absolutely.
family, friend, or whatever. Because sometimes those triggers are so big and so intense that you really need therapeutic support to work through all of all that it is encompassing, because sometimes it may appear to be one thing, but when you start digging,
Yes,
it's like a whole clusterbuck of stuff.
I
um,
agree.
that you like that word, yeah. But
Yeah.
it is, it's that, and it becomes a snowball of a whole lot of other things that we just kind of suppressed all this time.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's not always an attitude. Sometimes it's being,
psych,
yeah, it can be disengaged. Yeah, it is not always an attitude sometimes, but it's a response. It could be I don't feel I have a voice, or so I automatically remove my voice without being told, no one's listening. Sometimes it's tapping, it's scratching, it's pain, it's so many different
It's
things.
really wide. And like, to add to that, I know like a big thing for me is ghosting. Like, I'm triggered when I'm ghosted because I have a fear of abandonment.
I mean, and that's
It's a real thing, it stems from my daddy issues. You know what I mean? Like, I've identified it. That's
yeah.
one important thing, because some people don't even really know what they are. So I think it's it's a good thing that I know which one it is. So then when it does happen, I can be like, uh-oh, this is what it is. Let me just, and I know what to do. Like, there are tools in my arsenal to pull out for me to center myself, right? So that's one thing I think that's important, that you can identify them. So at
And
least,
you're not the only one. A
yeah,
lot of people have, and I mean, I'm gonna say it. I hate saying it sometimes, but the daddy issue stuff, people do have that because you are almost living in a world where you're conditioned that you're never good enough. You're never good enough for this person, and so now you're meeting these partners, and any competition, and I'm gonna call it competition, becomes a here I am again fighting for that position. So it could be something simple like I met someone who has an ex-wife, or I met someone who has kids who need their time, and you have that feeling. See, it's something simple, but it's still that feeling of, man, I'm still not first. I'm still competing for a spot because you've been conditioned that you weren't good enough for dad to be there, or your daddy don't want to do what he got to do, like all of that stuff, and we don't realize it, and we become a bit possessive in our relationships because we are fighting for that feeling of being enough. And I don't think a lot of people have been able to sit down, and this is how, even like when I talk to my kids, you need to go talk to the little girl or the little boy inside of you, because they are saying something that you're not listening to.
that's true. No,
Every time. That's what the trigger. I sincerely, like, which is what helped me, is when I got triggered, I was like, what's little Pearl saying to me that's making me feel like that? Because that's what it is. That's the, oh my gosh, what's happening? That's the little person inside of you, the person who learned the fear that you have adulted and suppressed. You're suppressing little Pearl. You're suppressing little Tay. That's who's reacting, because that's who learned it. You didn't learn it. The little you learned it.
Like, wait a minute. Oh, did I just, because I'll surprise myself. Like, dang, I shouldn't have been affected like that. Like, I'll think about it in retrospect and like, man, I should have, but that's me. That's my Libra brain,
Yeah, yes, your Libra brain.
Like, going back to rewind it and see what I could have done better. Just to always improve myself. But it's a real thing. And I'm noticing just in dating for me, like specifically, I mean, there are other things, and we're working to heal that through therapy and life coaching. But just specific to dating, a man is a little girl's first love. Like, your daddy is your first love as a man, and that's
absolutely
the way love is presented to you first in life.
Absolutely.
So, like, if that's fucked up, no, I mean, y'all had to put the kids to bed. Shaky, then baby, like, it's anybody's game out here. So you just got to make sure that you're rooted in something, and that you make sure you have that support, and you feel you feel that love, and you get
it.
I
totally agree with that.
Feelings. Yeah.
So as a parent, I'm sorry, Roy, we're gonna say something.
No, I'm just listening. You making me think, and I don't necessarily.
You making me think.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff I don't want to. I don't want to feel. But
It's okay.
no, I'm serious. I
It's-
don't.
I'm with
Um,
you.
but just listening to you, you made me think about and reflect on when you were speaking about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a relationship with a really dope dude. This is before my husband. Um, and so, long story short, as we've talked on a different show about dealing with domestic abuse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because, well, at least for me, let me say for me, because of the fact that I grew up with brothers and my my older baby brother, let me say it that way, the middle boy, the
Baby.
middle
Okay.
he and I we grew up fighting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's typical sibling behavior. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any sisters, so I can throw down with the best of them.
Me too.
Yeah. So thank you. Shout out to him if he's watching. So anyway,
She's like, thanks for trying to beat my butt. It helped.
yeah, he made me a stronger woman. But what happened is within that abusive relationship, that's what turned that person on. He was anyway sadistic, as you can see. Anyway, he got issues.
Mm-hmm.
So that turned him on. And so when I finally got out of that whole situation and met this really dope dude years later, because of those unresolved triggers,
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget just listening to you. I never forget. I don't even know what caused it. Something was going on, and it wasn't even nothing serious. But I remember us, well, me. Let me repeat that up. I remember me attacking him. I mean, and I'm like, again, I don't. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be quiet again. No, because I really don't like reliving stuff. Certain
Okay.
things.
I got
But
you.
but I remember attacking him. I mean, and I was getting it. And he was trying to restrain me. And he was like, T, like, I need you to calm down. And I was like, no, da 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 da. And I remember us being in the room and I did something, but I almost knocked over his lamp. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
Going in.
I was doing that, but I remember hitting the lamp, and the lamp did this bobble bobble move, like it was about to fall over. And I was like, "Oh snap!" I said, "You really need to stop playing." He said, "Me?" He said, "What is wrong with you?"
Oh wow.
And I'm just listening to you, and I'm like, "Yo, girl, what the H was wrong?" But I know what was wrong with me in retrospect. Now, it was because I was reliving
Yep.
some unresolved trauma from my past marriage and transferring it onto him because of my own insecurity or whatever. I don't know whatever that was in that moment. But it was just so funny because I'm like, why was I telling him to chill out when I'm the one that's acting the dang fool in this man's apartment? Like, who?
Yeah. You are in defense mode, 1,000%.
Girl, that was 2 shades of crazy. That's what it sounds like.
That is hilarious.
No, I'm being serious. Right.
I know you're being serious. I mean, I've never experienced that myself, but I know you're being serious. I think what I was saying to you too, now from a single parents part. So I have, which I've talked about, my kids love them to death. I have a daughter and 2 sons. I see a huge difference in my son's relationships, both of them, compared to my daughter. My daughter struggles with getting into relationships. I know she tries to mimic how I am in a relationship, but the difference is I had an excellent relationship with my dad. I love my dad. I was my dad's pride and joy. Like, there is a pride in me to know that right before my dad died, he was talking about me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm named after him. I look like him, so I had a total, and he's been gone for years, like at least 10. But I had a different relationship with him. I have pictures where he's kissing on me. When we went to the funeral, they're like, "You must be Erica." Oh, yeah, there you must be Erica, like whatever. But the point that I'm making is she tries to mimic the way I am in relationships, but she can't because she does not have that relationship with her dad. She is absolutely the opposite. What I mean by that, she looks like her dad. She is her dad's first daughter. she does not have a relationship with him. He has called her out her name on behalf of other relationships. So oftentimes she is triggered. She is in defense mode. She is trying to understand why she can't put the pieces together. My sons now do struggle with trusting Black men, but they have this balance where they had a relationship with me where now they could kind of balance that out a little bit better. So they have a different resource, I guess, is what I'm saying, to the things that trigger them. And that's why I kind of say I don't like saying like daddy issues, because I say you can control, like you can control it to an extent, right? I know you can't wipe it clean. But that's something I struggle with, because I know that's not an easy fix. I could tell her, and I do. I love her till she blew in her face. I could do all. There is a piece inside of her that I will never be able to mend, and that will always be a trigger for her, and that she needs to learn to deal with. So for me, now I come full circle to tell you that for me, that is a trigger. Because when I see her going through, I'm like, dang, why did I do this to you? Even though obviously I did not pick to do, obviously I did not choose. I definitely take ownership of that trigger. I take ownership because she didn't pick her daddy, right? She didn't pick that mama. I picked him. But seriously, I that is a different trigger. It's a different avenue of a trigger. I don't get an attitude with anyone for it. I do feel hurt because I can't make it better, as a parent should feel like they can. So there's so many levels of trigger and triggers. I think for her, she's just always struggling to feel good enough. She's an overachiever. She wants to hear, you good enough. I have to be like, I see you. I have to do that because it sounds funny, but she wants that. I'm seen, I'm enough. What I'm doing is enough to be seen. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that we need to sit and ponder upon. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's deep. That's a lot of good stuff though. But good points. I definitely agree with the levels to it, because as we evolve and as we, continue to live, we're gonna continue to be triggered. So I think it's just maintaining that control of ourselves and understanding and really identifying them and like in the moment catching ourselves, because I know I'm guilty for not catching myself in the moment. I'll catch myself when it's too late. Right. So I think I'm working on being more conscious of that.
I think I catch myself too much. I'd be like freeze. Now it's time to overthink this. But then there's other things like eating and smoking and drinking. I mean, some people have made that such a habit, they don't realize that it's a part of their trigger too.
So thank you, because that to me ties into the issue of triggers impacting our spiritual sense.
Okay. Talk to us.
Yes. Ooh, give it to me.
Exactly.
So
just the way she said it too. Give it to me.
So we talked about, the emotional aspect of things, and then obviously triggers often causes physical manifestations, whether it's like anxiety, nervousness, nail biting. And I don't even know what.
Oh, because you bite your nail. I was like, are you showing us? Okay.
Yeah, I bite my nails terribly, and I don't even know why. I still ain't figured out, and I can't grow nails. I mean, I can, but literally as soon as they start growing, I bite them right back down. I don't know. And so from a spiritual, when we start talking about the smoking and the drinking, to me, that is tying into our spirit.
Is she frozen?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay. I'm like, oh.
But it encompasses something, an overarching higher power to me, right? Yeah. And so when we feed our bodies with alcohol, marijuana, whatever we choose, whatever your poison is,
Mm-hmm.
You are influencing your spiritual well-being,
Mm-hmm.
because from a what's the word I'm looking for? Oh God. So from a sense of existentialism,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
When we look at the whole existential elements of us, and then metaphysical. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Father. Got it. So from thinking about it from a metaphysical standpoint, when we start feeding our spirit with things that alter us, because
Yes,
that's what it's doing. You're messing with your spiritual.
I agree.
Sex is physical, but it's also spiritual. You
Absolutely.
see what I'm saying?
And
Alcohol,
something that you can use when you get triggered.
correct. Alcohol, same thing. Marijuana, whatever. Like again,
Whatever, anything.
whatever your poison is, and I'll say it that way. Whatever your choice of poison is, it has a ability to affect you spiritually. And for me, at one point in time, sex was my go-to. And now what I've come to learn is, because sometimes, and I don't know if ladies, if y'all experience this or not, and if you do and you don't want to share, that's cool. So sometimes I'll get this overpowering urge to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Because don't you smile at me, Tay. But
I was trying to let you finish, but Tay was taking a stand.
So okay.
no, you're fine. But sometimes it's because something that I've um something has caused me to become anxious or to be triggered. Okay. So my go-to is to release, and I release through
Absolutely.
sex. So what I've started learning is when I feel, I'm gonna call it a spirit, when I feel that spirit riling up in me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, you don't even want to have, like, and literally I have self-conversation. And I tell myself
And you
literally,
do.
you don't even want to have sex. Ain't nothing wrong with you. But my loins is saying, yes, I do. And I'm like, no, the hell you don't. Shut up. You
Yeah,
just
but it's probably something that you've conditioned your body to think it's
and
gonna
it
make it all
is.
right.
And it is. And it's
Mhm.
and it's freaky because I mean, even down to porn and all this stuff. Anyway, I'm telling y'all too much into the world.
No,
But
you got listen. Look, let me
That's
go
real.
right back to the person who said that you're helping by bringing this out to the
Yeah,
platform.
that's
but
real. That's
but
real.
but
Mhm.
even with porn, like it riles up some stuff, right?
Mhm.
So for me, literally, I have learned when I start feeling it. Have y'all seen Snakes on a Plane? Let me start there. That's because
No,
that's a
wait.
perfect.
Not just, what did we just get off the exit? What's going on?
No,
Off the.
no, Snakes on the Plane.
I have to know. I have
No, not Snakes on the Plane. Um, White Snake Moan with
No.
with Samuel L. Jackson and the white girl, and she
Mhm.
had
yes. It was a long
chain.
time ago though, but yes.
It's an old movie.
Yes, I know
Okay.
what yep.
Oh, and she frozen. Why?
I think it was getting good. Oh wait, she coming back. She coming back.
That
Okay.
is me.
Okay. Go
Okay,
ahead.
to get this the spirit out. But what I'm saying is, I've learned when I feel it, I'm like, we ain't finna do this, and I'll go find something else to occupy my mind
Yeah.
in order for it to pass. Because
And what's
once it
that saying? The
passes,
idle mind is the devil's playground.
girl, but it's not even me being idle. It's something that has triggered me, and I don't even. Again, that's what I said earlier. Sometimes I don't even know what's triggering. But there has been something that has triggered me, and I have to literally self-talk myself through that and redirect that energy that's building up on the inside so that I don't manifest what it wants me to do.
Yeah. And
And
I
that's from a spiritual. And that's a
and you're still some. It's still some. Oh, she's gone. I'll wait for her to come back.
But no, that's a really good point though.
but
I like
okay, I'm
Okay,
back.
there you go.
Said,
So I think the thing is, sex is the easiest thing to go to, right? Because we
Mhm.
have that moment of what is it? All the juices start flowing, and you feel very the ecstasy, you feel all of that. But there's more than that. You know, what is it covering up? There are rape victims who've never addressed the fact that we're raped, and now every time they feel that, now they need to have sex. And so now you have, because we've talked on the show before about people like, oh, people just having sex. People are numbing the thing that they are not willing to sit in front of and go, what the entire poop is happening, right?
Absolutely.
It's not just that. Just like I have friends that go, oh, I went to the doctor, they said I had to lose weight. But why are you eating?
Yep.
What is the emotion behind you eating? Because they could give you 6 pills to lose weight. You're still going to eat even if you're not hungry because you're feeding an emotion, right?
It sounds like now we're getting into addiction, and that's a real thing. Like some people are addicted to sex.
Yeah, addicted to it. But they're numbing themselves, right?
Those endorphins, you really do get like a natural high.
Just like
orgasm.
And there are people who literally drink and are drunk almost every day. They're something triggered them. And they're drinking. Same thing. It doesn't have to just be weed. It could be cigarettes. It could be all of that. It's just whatever numbs whatever you're going through, whatever makes you think that the emotion that you're feeling at that moment is okay, is what you're going to choose. It's not always sex. I just feel like sex is the easiest thing.
I agree.
We have people walking around miserable, bad attitude. Forget, they don't even have RBF. They're just not happy. They start arguments just to start arguments. But it's taming the real thing that's yelling and screaming on the inside.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? So this is what, we're like, okay, triggers. I sincerely believe everyone has a trigger.
Everybody does.
Everyone has one trigger might just be my grandmother passed and she was the one who used to feed me, while the other one may be my ex-husband or ex-wife cheated on me, or I got raped, or I've been home. Whatever it is a trigger. That's where hoarding comes from. Yep. You are triggered because there's an abandonment. There's a problem with abandonment, and so now you're hoarding. We all have it. It's just, and I still believe it's really sitting down with the little you inside of you, but facing that little you is more painful than the actual thing that happened. And that is the problem. That is the part where you go, I'm going to hurt till it feels better versus avoiding the hurt. And I think some of us just aren't there. You know what I mean? Like this person here, I'm sorry if I said it wrong. I'll just say Ms. Cole said about, pinpointing the problem, self-regulate, I put it up, applying the word, right? You have to heal that space too for the word, because sometimes there's so much congestion in there. It can't plant. That seed can't be planted.
Absolutely.
That seed can't be planted. And I think that's the problem. It's just understanding that we are all good ground for whatever you need to be planted in you to be healed, but you have to face it. And I think some of us are really scared to. It hurts. Let's be honest. It hurts. It hurts trying to figure out why my dad didn't want to be around, or why your mother did that, or why the former boyfriend or girlfriend. That hurts to go back to it. Again, the little kid inside of you trying to figure out, what did I do? Why I wasn't good enough. So I think the interesting thing about triggers is the projection of it is more painful than what you're trying to avoid. That's how I feel.
When you can face it, a lot of times, like you were saying, we don't want to face it, but it's so important that we do. And I think this is a heavy topic. This is. We're not just gonna breeze right on by this, but there are some real true things that are being, people are dealing with, and it's very important that it's okay, guys, to seek help. Like therapy's okay. Get you a life coach, get you a friend, get you a support system. A lot of times,
get the right people.
Yeah, get the right people. You don't want to,
because some people are scared of therapy. I get it.
And
right. But sometimes. You don't even realize you're keeping people in your circle that are also triggers, that are feeding those triggers, right? You're like, oh, this is supposed to be my friend and da-da-da-da-da. No, that friend is actually a manifestation of the very thing you're avoiding confronting within yourself.
And be careful with your pastors. That's why I was saying what I was saying before I froze up, because hey baby, because even within the church, when I was talking about the sex thing and the screen went out, I was talking about oftentimes somebody may say, well, that's a demon in you. It may be. It very well may be. I'm not going to say that it's not, y'all. But what I'm going to say is it is what it is, whatever it is. No,
Look,
I
what
mean,
I say to that is, let him who is without sin. Yes,
it may be what it is. And where I'm going with this is, although it may be what it is from a spiritual standpoint, that pastor is still a human. Okay. He can, and so be mindful of that when sometimes people are like, well, we need to cast this out. Baby, let me explain something to you. It don't get just cast out. It don't operate that way. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody that's watching, and y'all might not agree with me, and that's cool because I still love you and I hope you still love me. But just understand that sometimes certain denominations that will talk about casting out all these spirits and this deep, baby, it's a work in progress. And that mere man or that mere woman may not have the ability to cast out anything. Number one. Number two, going back to what we said, because that's what I had to do. I had to go through years of therapy, and I do mean years, along with medication, to get to this point where I am. And again, that's why I can be as transparent as I am being, because I'm able to recognize certain things when it riles up. I'm able to talk it down, if you will, and learn how to redirect those manifestations of that, whatever that trigger is, unseen. I'm able to redirect it. It did not come from a man of God or a man of woman. It came from years of practicing some strategies that helped me become better. Now, has prayer helped? Absolutely. Has ministry helped? Absolutely. But I don't want anybody to get one thing misconstrued with the other. And that's all I'm gonna say on that, because I don't, like I said, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but I'm just happy.
But you're saying that instead of always looking outwardly for something, you have to take the time to look within yourself.
You got to work on you. And when you start talking about having these conversations with the younger you, absolutely have those conversations with that younger you and figure out what happened.
Yeah. And it's a lot. It's a lot. Here's things that they don't tell you. Your triggers could be so bad that it manifests in your body like diseases that really aren't diseases.
And you don't know why you sick. Come on with it.
So I have, and again, not putting some of it as a single parent on Front Street, going for test after test, thinking this person has lupus, this person has, no. All that was triggers manifesting into body pains, manifesting into migraines, manifesting into joint pain, manifesting into liver problems, fiber. It's so many things. But again, your inner man or woman is screaming, we need to, help. We need to make this better. And I think, I mean, Facebook user, you made an excellent point about sometimes we just have vitamin or mineral deficiencies. Absolutely. And I totally understand that. What I'm saying is what happened to you is internal. Right. External things are numbing it. But guess what? All you're doing is putting it on pause. It's just waiting for you. I think, and I'm going to go back to the drinking thing, not to say I'm like, oh, I don't drink. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when you get drunk, or when you numb those pains and go to sleep, your problem is chilling on the corner of your bed, waiting for you to wake up and be like, all right, good morning. We back at it. That's what's happening, right?
How you doing?
How you doing? Or if you're smoking weed all the time or whatever, it's waiting. It's waiting. But the problem is it's also building other things inside of you. Again, I'm not on trying to stand on no soapbox about you shouldn't be drinking and you shouldn't be smoking. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there is something deeper that needs to be addressed so that you can regain your peace, so that you can regain your joy. Some of us are alive, but we're not living. And that's right. We are a true life version, unentertainment coded zombies. We are walking around prisoners of the person or the thing that happened to us in our past, thinking because I get up, I'm breathing, and I go to work and come back, that I have life. No, you don't. You're alive. You're going through the motions, but you don't truly own and have that joy and that peace. And again, I'm going to go back to, and we have people who continue to feed the death that's within us, and we calling them friends. Heck, we might be calling them family. So that's just, we need to pay attention to those triggers. So yeah. That's
Hey,
me.
what you got to say? I'm sorry, because she was over there.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop now.
Pass the plate. Just, I mean, I gotta say, because it was a word. Like my soul is stirred. Okay. Ooh, yes, Pastor Black Squirrel. No,
my bad.
That
Good.
Was profound. That was real though.
But yeah, I just I think I know some wonderful people who keep their inner child caged, and it's because it's easier than bringing her or him out to address what happened.
A lot of times people don't even know they're there though. That's what I've discovered. Like in my self-love journey, that was an exercise I actually had to do. It's another transparent moment. I had to write a letter to my younger self. And baby, that was an emotional moment. Like first of all, writing it and then reading it, because I had to put myself in the mind of like her, because I'm like, she never goes away, like I'm talking to her, I'm talking to me. I have to look in the mirror, here's my assignment, and read it to myself. Like that was the moment. And people don't understand that you have to, that's vital. That's one of the tools in your arsenals you can always go back and get. Okay. Free game. You're welcome. Thank me later. But for real, that's very important, guys. It starts with you. That's one of the things I tell my clients all the time. It starts with you. You can't pour into an empty cup.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And what are you giving if you're not at 100? What are you giving?
Yeah.
You're depleting yourself.
Absolutely. And we do a lot of justifying. I can't. This person made me. It's this person's fault. But you have a choice. We are such powerful individuals. We're so powerful, we convince ourselves that we're not.
Yep.
Right? It all starts with a choice.
Yep.
Easy choice? I'm not saying it is. Necessary choice for your life, for the most important person in your life, which is you. You are with your person from day 1 to day 0. You are the only one who will always be with you day in, day out, eyes open, eyes closed, breathing, not breathing, whatever, right? We make so many choices for those around us and forget about ourselves. And I think that was the thing for me. These are the things I have to deal with. I feel like the inner Pearl was like, what about me? Right? Like literally that voice, the pout, everything. What about me? When you needed me to pass those tests, I was there. When you needed me to be a mom and relate to your kids, I was there. Right? Why are you not there for me? Why am I by myself? What did I do that you can't pay attention to me? And that is when all the other triggers came. We're like, let me pay attention to this. Okay. Right? Was it easy? Nah, it wasn't. Lots of sleepless nights, lots of my poisonous candy, lots of candy knowing I'm not supposed to be eating. It was like, that was my thing. You know what I mean?
Put the nail in that.
Right, I'm just saying. It was just a lot of that. But it was so worth it. It was so worth it. And I think what propelled me to that point is we project. And the most painful projection I did was when I realized that I could possibly be projecting onto my kids who had nothing to do with anything that ever happened to me. Right. And so I decided to do the work for them. And then that turned into doing the work for the people that I loved around me. And it's still work. It's a constant. Healing is not a destination, it's a journey. So I'm constantly healing, constantly addressing, and then having the right people in your life that allow you to open up and be vulnerable. So yeah, that's again, that's a thing. So yep. So
yes, man. Oof. Yes. I love it here. This be my
you love it here?
My therapy for real.
Oh,
it is, because it's such a safe space, and we don't always have the opportunity to kind of be transparent and have these real conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we get scared to be judged.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and Royal could definitely co-sign with me. I think that is part of what drove us to this, to branch off a little and have this ladies portion, because it's not that people don't want to talk about it. They're afraid to be judged.
Yeah.
They're afraid of who is gonna, judge them, who's gonna say something, oh, who's gonna make it the topic of conversation, where in actuality we're all experiencing the same thing, it just looks different, you know.
Exactly.
So
And if you haven't experienced it, as my mama or my grandma would say, baby, you keep on living, and I promise you, you're gonna experience something of what we're talking
absolutely.
about. Whether you were a child or whether you are a 80-year-old person, God's will, you keep on living, baby. You're gonna go through some stuff.
Yeah.
And when you go through some stuff, I want you to remember this day when Pearl, Tay, and Royal was up here having this conversation. And you're gonna be like, well, hot dang, they sure did have this conversation. Sure did.
Me.
And, like seriously, because sometimes we do, um, we when we haven't experienced certain things, is quick to pass judgment or have a bias about things
Mm-hmm.
that you can't truly relate to. So you are able to pawn it off on a simplistic explanation, whatever that may be. Oh, you was out there being grown, you shouldn't have been doing
Yeah.
this, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's a flippant kind of response, but no, it's more to it. You just have no clue until you yourself go through something similar.
Yeah.
And then you're able, and even when you was talking about counter transference to your children,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, and we hear a lot about breaking that generational curse, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Breaking chains and stuff like that. And it begins with being able to do exactly what you did, Pearl. Taking time out to check yourself, reclaim your power. We keep talking about reclaiming our time. No, baby, I need all of us,
Yes.
near and far, to reclaim your power. Stop giving your power away,
Absolutely.
things and people who are not serving you any good, and
Mm-hmm.
are inadvertently triggering
Mm-hmm.
you to manifest certain negative responses, when all you need to do is step back for one moment, evaluate yourself, and continue to be reflective and evaluative of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when you're having children,
Mm-hmm.
you can keep it up, as young folks say, you can keep it a buck with them.
Keep it a buck.
Keep it a buck, and be able to be vulnerable with our children, because even in this day and time, and I'm gonna say this because I don't want to get off the topic, but we're raising children today who are dealing with some serious mental health
Mm-hmm.
crises. And some of it is related to the fact that we as adults don't want to disclose and be transparent to our children of the traumas and the triggers that have caused us to be who we are.
Absolutely. We don't want to share that truth.
But in that truth, there is power. You
Absolutely.
have to be able to relay that information and let them know it's okay. I screwed up, or this is what happened. It wasn't my fault. But I want you to know how to properly see things and
Yeah.
how to handle things if you are put in these situations.
Yeah. But isn't the point of learning lessons in life to share those learnings or those things that you learn to the next?
Should be, but we are
Should be. I'm sorry. Should be.
but you said it perfectly. We are too embarrassed or ashamed of things that were either in or out of our control, that happened with us during our life, that we don't want to open that Pandora's box.
Oh, yeah. I open it all
Scared
the
of
way.
all the butterflies or whatever else is that might pop out of it.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because in that we're transitioning out of this fixed mindset that this is what happened to me, and therefore this is going to continue to happen to me, to a growth mindset where we are not affixed to a certain place or a certain perspective. We are able to open ourselves up to
I
opportunity.
agree. But I think we handicap our purpose. So we all need each other, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I went through what I went through, so you don't have to. Because I definitely said that. I'm like, look, I did this. It wasn't the end of the world, but there was a better way to do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I had to deal with what we said here. Our demons. I had to deal with that demon that, hey, this is what happened. It could have been better. Now share that experience. So
what you say, Tay? I'm sorry, baby.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, like, it's the survival. To me, it's the difference between surviving and thriving in that situation. You're not like, I'm not because some people don't like to be victimized, or they don't want to be victimized about it anymore once you've healed it. So it's like, all right, well, I was a survivor, but now I'm a thriver in this situation.
And a lot of us do I don't want to talk about it, put it to the side. I don't want to talk about it, put it to the side. Well, when you get healed to a certain extent, you're not afraid to address it and move on from it. It's not an avoidance. Right. It's I'm facing my demons and then I'm moving on. I think that's what we need to realize also. So again, all a process, all a journey, all a part of the thing. So so we made it to an hour. I had to look up, like, oh my gosh, it's an hour. Do you have any final words, Royal or Tay, you want to share?
No, babe, I'm gonna let you sum it up because we
yeah, no, I mean, I'm still digesting just what y'all said, what we said.
Okay. I'm still. I think this was a wonderful topic. I think we only tapped on it because it could get so much deeper. Yeah. I think if I were to give a nugget, not a chicken nugget, but a golden nugget, I would say, in a world where there are so many voices that speak against you, that tell you what you can't do, be the voice that tells you what you can do, that tells you what you're capable of doing, and listen to the voice of the inner child. That inner child literally is the key to joy. That was the part of you that wasn't scared. That was the part of you that believed you could be whatever you wanted to be. That was the part of you that taught you to dream for the life that you're living right now. So I definitely would be good to that inner child. I'd like to represent them for a second and say they miss you. So I would definitely take that time out. So I also want to shout out Miscommunication. She wasn't feeling well and she wasn't able to join us today. And we're sending you healing vibes and hope that you feel better. We miss you. And for the rest of you that joined us, that put comments in for us to read, those of you who didn't and just showed up to watch us today, we thank you for joining us. We appreciate you and appreciate your support. And wait, let me tap into it right now. Hold on, let me get it together. If you're watching and you have not subscribed to the experience, you're on. If you're on the Facebook page and you haven't joined the group, you're wrong. But all seriousness, thank you for your support. Thank you for being a part of the experience. Mr. Chocolate, where the experience is always good. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Chocolate, and we will see you again Wednesday, same bat channel, same bat time. Have a great one, guys.